Hi, I'm Dr. Elliot Adam from ElliotOracle.com. I'm also the author of the best-selling Fearless Tarot and Tarot in Love, Consulting the Cards and Matters of the Heart. And both books are published by Llewellyn Books. And I have some signed copies available on my website, ElliotOracle.com, for the tarot lover in your life, if you're interested. It is time for this week's Oracle Reveal. So yesterday on YouTube, I placed up a photo of 3 different animals, and I asked you to use your intuition and ask yourself which animal's calling to you, because that animal has your message. And the 3 animals were the wolf, the ant, and also the eagle. So if you're just joining me now, ask yourself which animal's calling to you, because that animal has your message. So for those of you who picked the wolf spirit, this card says, turn knowledge into wisdom. And there is a difference between knowledge and wisdom. You know, knowledge we can learn in a book, knowledge we can learn by studying something, but wisdom is gained by experience. And for my money, I'd rather go along with wisdom any day of the week over knowledge. The wolf can indicate for you that this is a time to really delve into your own journey, your own wisdom. The wolf is the teacher, and I just kind of feel like you're going to lead the pack by example, by really tapping into your own wisdom. Sometimes the wolf can indicate that you're attracted to a teacher, someone who's giving you some important knowledge that's going to help you at this time, but sometimes this card can also indicate that you may play the role of teacher for another. Either way, that wolf card is really telling you to trust the wisdom, trust your path, trust your journey, because a lot has been accumulated along the way. First card for Wolf is where it's best to place your focus this next week, and we get the Six of Swords card. And for me, this is the benevolent change card in the tarot. It's as simple as getting in the boat and going with the flow. And I feel for the wolf, there's this natural current, this natural trajectory to this next phase of your life that's happening. You're going to get really frustrated if you're over eager to see yourself in a state of completion right now. The Six of Swords has to do with transitions, and you're in the midst of crossing the river right now. And yet you're leaving the rough waters behind you, and you're sailing toward the smooth waters. And I just feel the word surrender with this card. So I just feel for the wolf, it's like trust where the current of your wisdom is leading you. And it also is time for you to participate in the journey, not just the past journey. Wisdom is being accumulated right now if you're open and you're willing to embark. Next, we got the advice from your inner wisdom if you pick the wolf, and we get the King of Pentacles. He's the master of the pentacle suit, the element of earth. And you might even say that he is the teacher, the wise one of the pentacle suit. And the King of Pentacles, he teaches us a couple important lessons. Number one, he teaches the most annoying word that everyone hates to hear in a tarot reading, which is patience. So he's telling you, hey, slow down. Let the river do what it's going to do. Stop shaking your fist at reality and getting frustrated that you're not seeing the result quite as perfectly as you'd like. It's time to really be grounded in the present moment. But also the King of Pentacles teaches us to put love into what we're doing. If the work we're doing is just a chore, if it's just like a slog that there's no soul in, well, then it doesn't really feel like we're gaining very much out of it. So King of Pentacles can indicate that it's time to go back to basics. It's time to go back to your fundamentals, but it's also time to just trust this journey as it's playing out. And the mythic archetype that's going to help you this next week, if you pick the wolf, there it is. There's Hephaestus. He's the god of the flame, the forge. He's the craftsman, the blacksmith of the gods. But Hephaestus is also an archetype of work. And I'm just getting with these cards the sense of like some changes might be happening with your work. Maybe there's a change of attitude that needs to happen with your work. Or maybe you're needing to be guided by that natural current, that river in your life that's guiding you towards something that feels more fulfilling with your work. And yet be patient with the process. Hephaestus creates the most wonderful rewards, but you do have to be patient. And just as the blacksmith repeatedly blows the hammer against the metalwork that he is creating with his artistry, so too with your path this next week and even into the next coming weeks. It's just important that you're just consistent. You're just hammering away at this thing and just trusting that natural current, trusting that process. But make sure that every blow of the hammer is also infused with your love of what you're doing, because those other emotions seem to block us from what's really going to be fulfilling. Next is the ant spirit, and this card says time to collaborate. And the ant is a communal insect. They are very selfless. They're all about the colony. They're all about the service to the queen. And so the ant can indicate that this is a time for you to work with others. I'm also just kind of feeling sometimes we need a reminder to collaborate. And this is especially true for some of us who are used to doing our own thing, don't like to be told what to do, sometimes feel a little vulnerable sharing something that's really personal to us with another person. We're afraid of that feedback. We're afraid of what they might say. And yet that feedback, that second opinion can often lead us to feeling better about what we're doing because it highlights a blind spot, something that we're not able to see on our own. First card for the ant is where it's best to place your focus this next week. There we go. We got the Page of Swords. He's the defensive youth of the tarot. He's got the sword upraised. He's very afraid of being vulnerable. And yet the courage it takes to be vulnerable is often the thing that's going to lead to the breakthrough by opening up to somebody else who might have the answer that we just don't have if we're alone in a vacuum in our room, just kind of hammering away at something on our own. So this might be a time to ask for help if you need it. Might be a time to open up. Page of Swords can also just indicate that it's time to just lower these unnecessary defenses. Don't assume, I bet they're going to say this, so I'm just not going to even open up about it. Don't assume what people are going to say. Give people the benefit of the doubt this next week. You might be surprised. Next, we got the advice from your inner wisdom this next week. And we do got the Four of Swords, which is a card of calming down, finding the calm place within. It can also, with these two swords cards, indicate that this is a time of healing for your thought process. Page of Swords is very reactive. He just acts out based on what he sees. Four of Swords is a little bit more circumspect. It's a little bit more withdrawn. It's like, okay, you know what? I'm just going to weigh everything and look at it all. So I just kind of feel like calming down is going to be so helpful for you if you pick the ant, especially when it does have to do with opening up to others. And yet both of these cards are kind of linked with solitude. Page of Swords, who keeps people at bay. Four of Swords, which is a card of rest, solitude, exile. I feel like, on the one hand, both things could be true. You do need to honor your own process and your own thought form, but you also need to know that sometimes something brilliant can happen when you're open to that help, when you're reaching out. And then the mythic archetype that's going to help you this next week is Artemis. Now, Artemis is the goddess of selfhood, purity. She is an independent goddess. So all three of these cards have an air of independence about them. Artemis, doesn't feel like she wants to be confined by society's rules. So she runs off into the forest and chases in the moonlight all the woodland creatures. And so I do feel like there is this free spirit with you if you're picking the ant. And yet I'm also feeling with this Artemis card that this is a time for you to be confident enough in you, in what you're creating, that you can be vulnerable enough to hear what other people have to say. Maybe it's time to really believe in yourself, because the only reason to be defensive about what someone else is saying is maybe if you're not knowing yourself completely, or maybe you don't have 100% faith in what you're doing. And if that's the case, then exactly what you're going to be needing is somebody else's input. So I just feel like, yep, you're going to be in that selfhood, but it's also time to be vulnerable. A balance is needed. And then finally, we got the eagle spirit, and this card says spirit has your back. And spirit does have your back. There is always an angel behind you, an ancestor that's sending you signs, signals, omens. It might even be that you're seeing birds in the sky that really stand out, or a color that just keeps appearing. The eagle is telling you that spirit is in dialogue with you all the time. And sometimes we just block ourselves from seeing it because we get so obsessed and fixated on the thing that's right in front of our nose. First card is where it's best to place your focus this next week. And we got the Three of Wands reversed. And this card can indicate that you don't want to borrow trouble this next week. Stop dreading a future that hasn't even happened yet. Stop, thinking, I bet it's just going to be like this, so I'm not even going to try. Three of Wands reversed is indicating that it's time to be open-minded again. It's time to look at your opportunities as wide open and waiting for you. Three of Wands reversed can also indicate that it's time to grow, that you might have outgrown this current phase that you're in, and now it's time to take that step into the brave new world. It can be comfortable being the big fish in the small pond, but the big fish can't grow in a small pond. And so this might be a time to go into some uncharted waters that are deeper and wider, and that can lead to more wisdom for you. Next, we got advice from your inner wisdom, and we get the Hangman reverse. So 2 reverse cards for the eagle. The Hangman reverse can indicate that you're getting back on your feet again. After a time of suspension, which is what the Hangman reversed is, or upright is, when the Hangman's reversed, he's back on his feet. This could be a time when you're getting back on your feet. You're getting back on track. You're not listening to your fear about what you think is going to happen. And 2 reverse cards can also just indicate that you've been going in reverse for a while. It feels like you've been going in circles. And maybe like the eagle, you're needing to soar above and look at the big picture so you can see where things are really all fitting together for you. And the mythic archetype that's going to help you, if you pick the eagle, is appropriately Helios. He's the sun. And his card says illumination. And I just kind of feel like the eagle flying close to the sun. This is going to be the thing that really gives you perspective. These reverse cards are saying that you've been too much in the weeds with what you're dealing with. And now it's time to soar above. It's time to get close to the sun. This is what's going to bring everything into illumination. And it's also just a time to accept that every day you have a new opportunity to be a better version of you. Every day the sun rises again. Every day there's this opportunity. And I just kind of feel like no matter what's happened up until now and how many times you had to go over the same lesson and circle back, I think with Helios, this is just a time for you to realize that your new beginning is now. And that is this week's Oracle. I do hope you enjoyed it. If you did, you can always connect with me at elliotoracle.com and schedule a one-on-one session with me there. To all of my YouTube video viewers, thank you so much for liking, subscribing, and sharing. And also, thank you so much for hitting that donation button. I really appreciate it. I've been so overwhelmed by how kind and generous you've all been. So thank you so much. Otherwise, I hope you all have a wonderful week, and I hope to see you again here next week, so do take care.